Look at this pin. Look how cute this pin is. It's your girl, Nezuko. Gotta love it. So today, guys, welcome back to another Chrysalineous video. What we are going to be doing is starting our anime review series. We are going to be starting with this franchise that recently had a movie go into theaters. It's out of theaters now, but of course I am talking about Demon Slayer. I recently watched this myself, and I gotta say it was a great series. I had a great time watching it, and I was annoyed that there was only one season available on the platform that I was watching it on. So I'll go and find the next season once that comes out. But great series. And I want to talk about this a little bit in detail because I enjoyed it. But we are going to be doing something with this series where we take a quick look at... It's basically just my thoughts on the series and why it stands out from other anime. And kind of to give you a better introduction to new shows without putting them into like genre stereotypes. I feel like a lot of anime gets overlooked because of these stereotypes. Like shonen is normally power-ups, transformations, screaming, that kind of thing. So I feel like it's important to take a closer look at these anime and really understand the story. As after all, anime is an important part of our culture. Alright. Like I said, we're going to be talking about Demon Slayer today, which follows our main character, Tanjiro Kamada, around. He's a great dude. Let's speak about him for a second here. He's a young guy, like a teenager, basically, and he's very family-oriented. Episode 1 spends a lot of time introducing us to his family, kind of going over what his role is. He's more of like a provider for his family and does whatever he can to help out. And he's also seemingly a mature dude, right? Like, he's going to do some errands to help provide for the family, and his brother and sisters want to come to town with him. He says no because it's dangerous to be out at night, and he knows that it's better for them not to come. So anyway, episode 1 follows Tanjiro around, and we're going to spend some time on episode 1 because it really sets the pace for the rest of the story, and then we'll take a deeper look at some of the characters and the overarching plot. But episode 1, we find out a lot about Tanjiro. He goes around supporting his family. He runs errands. He kind of does what he can to provide for them. We see him go into town. We see that everybody likes him. He's well established. A lot of people know who he is, and he's frequently going to town to do these things that he's doing for his family. He ends up spending too much time going out with these errands, and he bunks. He goes and stays with somebody, I suppose a family friend for the evening. I don't know who it is or what their actual relationship is. But after he returns home, he finds that his family has been... Let's go! Well, they are not any longer alive. They've been killed. And he's heartbroken. We spent a lot of time looking into his relationship with his family. So to see this so quick in the series, you really feel for him. He just lost his whole family. And he finds his sister after finding his family, who is still alive. Of course, we're talking about Nezuko. But she's acting weird. He doesn't know what's going on, but he knows she's alive, and he has to figure out some way to help her. So he carries her on his back, and he's looking for anyone who can help him, really. And after a while, I don't want to go too much into the details, but he runs into a demon slayer who is hunting down the demon that attacked his family. And this demon slayer, I guess his name is Water Hashira? So I had to look that up because I never really caught his name. But Water Hashira apparently is who this demon slayer was. And so I believe he does kill the demon that attacked the family. But now that he's done that, he wants to attack Nezuko. And Tanjiro is not having that. He's super angry. He's ready to fight this guy, although Tanjiro has had no training. He's not he's not any kind of combat specialist, and he's going up against a demon slayer. So the demon slayer, for the most part of their interaction, is looking down on him, telling him he's naive and that he should not believe that a demon is able to coexist with humanity, pretty much. And after this interaction, this is when Tanjiro really starts to accept what's happened to his sister. Not really accept as, like, be okay with it, but accept that, yeah, she is a demon, right? So that happens, and Tanjiro gets in a fight with the demon slayer because he's trying to protect Nezuko. And for the most part, Water Hashira is kicking the crap out of Tanjiro. Tanjiro has no business being in this fight, and it's obvious to him and the demon slayer, but he's going through with it because of Nezuko. And over this, like, interaction, he kind of talk no jutsus the demon slayer, kind of explaining his ideals on protecting his sister, why this could be different, and why he needs to make things right, and why Nezuko is so important to him. And the demon slayer doesn't really care about any of that until, I won't say exactly what happens, but he kind of impresses him with some of his strategy during this combat. He doesn't do anything absurdly amazing, but for having no training, he impressed the demon slayer. So the demon slayer ultimately gives him the opportunity to do what's right with Nezuko, meaning make sure he babysits her, make sure he keeps track of her, make sure she doesn't attack any humans. So this guy, through a long process, sends Tanjiro to someone to kind of train to become a demon slayer himself. So this sets up our overarching plot a little bit more. Tanjiro goes on a journey to meet the guy that Water Hashira recommended to him, who basically trains people to take the Demon Slayer exam, if I'm not mistaken. And we already saw that Tanjiro was a hard worker, but this is kind of the part where we see how dedicated he is to training, to doing whatever he can to get stronger in the name of protecting Nezuko. So that's a very shonen thing. You know, I have to be strong so I can protect those around me, the people I care about, for bigger, badder foes that are sure to come by. Let me face that the other direction. But he does that, and eventually he gets his own sword, his own Demon Slayer sword, and I guess it responds to different people differently. And he got a rare sword color when his sword was forged. I guess the material used for the swords reacts differently for whoever the wielder is, and his turned black, which is normally a bad omen. But Tanjiro hangs in there, and there's a couple other characters. So this is just a great show. But Tanjiro, from the start, he loses his family. His sister becomes a demon. The only way he can keep his sister alive is by becoming a demon slayer. But obviously, a demon slayer running around with a demon is like chaos. It's unheard of in this universe, I guess you can say. So, that being said, every time there's a new set of characters introduced, like there's a whole Demon Slayer hierarchy with different tiers and people who manage the lower ranking Demon Slayers. Then there's an elite team of Demon Slayers, and you start to kind of get more involved in the world, and as those characters get introduced, you get a bigger gravity of how firstly, Tanjiro being a Demon Slayer is a big deal, but why it's such a big deal that he's running around with a demon himself. So, we also meet characters who are similar to Nezuko that help him along in his journey, and overall, they do a lot of really great world building. Like, I'm huge for anime that have kind of things that have been going on before the story starts, and you get a lot of that in Demon Slayer. There's also some other awesome characters that get introduced. I won't go too into it, but we got two main characters that kind of go along with Tanjiro on a lot of his journeys. We've got Zanetsu, who is really just a whiny baby. When when Tanjiro starts his kind of Demon Slayer training, takes his exam and does that, Zanetsu is this like blonde kid who, I'll put him up here somewhere. He's hanging around here. Anyway, he's a big whiny baby and he's a pervert. He's always crying and he's always screaming and he's always trying to flirt with girls instead of taking his Demon Slayer status seriously. So, gotta love that. I really was annoyed with every scene in him that had him in it. And I don't want to knock the anime for that, because every anime has a character that they intend for you to hate. And I don't know if that's this guy. I think this guy is more intended to be like a supporting character who experiences growth, because they kind of give him a little limelight at the end of the season that I watched, but I was never interested in him. So there's that. He has some flashback scenes where you kind of get a better understanding of why he is the way he is, and once this flashback happens, it's in like a dire state. He kind of has a mental breakthrough, and he realizes the thing he thought was his weakness can actually be an incredible strength. But I don't think that matters, personally. So I want to give him justice by saying he does have his moment, but he's not a character I'm interested in. We do have Inosuke, if I'm pronouncing that right. So this guy runs around wearing a boar's head on him. He never has a shirt, and he's dual wielding swords. So this guy's pretty dope. I love him. He's kind of got like a Vegeta Sasuke mix to him. He's really awesome. And at first, he starts off incredibly arrogant. Like, I think him and Tanjiro, when they meet, the first thing they do is fight. But he's super arrogant, but he's strong. Like, it makes sense for him to be arrogant. He's just a jerk at first. And then he starts traveling with Tanjiro to help him with some things. And we find out that Inosuke really wants to be strong. Like, this is what he's dedicated his life to. And he wants to be strong, to be powerful, protect the people he wants to protect, and be one of the best Demon Slayers. That being said, once he finds out about Nezuko, he does want to kill her, until he realizes that Tanjiro is an incredible person and he can learn something from him. So he starts traveling with them. I believe they get put on missions together by the Demon Slayer Council, I guess. And he goes out and he always does pretty good. He has his strengths, and throughout the whole thing, we see what Tanjiro was doing in his training. We see Tanjiro kind of explaining to Inosuke why he knows where the enemy is coming from, or what he's looking for to see like a weakness. In the middle of battle, he'll explain things to Inosuke that Inosuke didn't realize for himself. So that all builds up, and Inosuke realizes that Tanjiro has a head up on him. He's got growth that'll far surpass Inosuke, and this drives Inosuke to really try to be better and get stronger. And he feels miserable, he feels weak. This is where his like Vegeta mentality comes in. He starts comparing himself to Tanjiro a lot. But I really like the dynamic. Inosuke isn't a character that just, I need to be stronger. They have a great dynamic. They're both combat specialists. They've both been trained in similar ways, and they play off of each other really well. There's a lot of times where Tanjiro and Inosuke just leave Zanetsu behind, or Zanetsu gets lost, and the main combat is left to Tanjiro and Inosuke, which personally I like. but then it left for more cutscenes that were just Zanetsu, and I wasn't crazy about those. But that being said, I do love Inosuke as a character. I do love Tanjiro. Tanjiro is really like simple. He's soft spoken, but he's motivated. He has heart, and he stands up for what he believes in. So any opportunity he gets, if someone's talking bad about his sister, he stands up for it. So the characters in this show are great. I love that there's like a whole hierarchy of demon slayers, like I mentioned earlier, and it kind of creates an internal drama that they go through. So there's layers of this show that you kind of start to unpack while you're watching it, and you get a sense of why everything is so the way it is, why there are demon slayers in the first place, and what Tanjiro is really getting into in this journey. Because his main goal wasn't to be a demon slayer. His goal is to protect his sister. And the only way to do that was to become a demon slayer, which they endlessly speak about. They tell him, this is not an easy route. You're going to have to train intensely for this. And you're going to have to also prove yourself. Because if he could be the best demon slayer out there, but if he can't keep track of Nezuko, or Nezuko kills even one human, Nezuko's done. And so is Tanjiro, so is Water Hashira. A bunch of people vouch for Tanjiro and Nezuko as a great team and people that can be trusted, even though Nezuko's a demon. And it goes to like the head of the Demon Slayer Council, and they say, please listen to what I have to say. We vouch for these two. If something happens and they can't be trusted, please take our lives as well. You know what I mean? So they've got important people vouching for them, and they've got a long journey ahead of them. And that's kind of what a lot of the first season is building up the characters and kind of introducing how they are suspicious of Nezuko and how they start finding ways to overcome that and support what Tanjiro is doing in his journey. That being said, Tanjiro is like a people person, and he realizes that he's not the only person who's been affected by demons, and that there's a big antagonist that's turning people into demons like willy-nilly. So this makes Tanjiro mad because he's seen firsthand how this can affect somebody's life, especially since the antagonist is turning people into demons that don't want to be demons. So Tanjiro, along the way, kind of gets a lot of missions he has to pursue, but he also has this drive and passion about other people to him that makes him want to protect others. So he goes in and he just kind of gets this obligation that he kind of gives himself to protect other people who are being, I guess, assaulted. He basically makes it his own obligation to protect everybody around him, even if those people aren't worth protecting, kind of thing. So I think that's great. They do a really good job of playing up the situation and introducing new characters and new waves, and kind of pacing things. I really like the pacing of Demon Slayer because it starts out, you get to know Tanjiro and his family and his sister. You understand, then they introduce the Demon Slayers and that demons exist. And now you're already worried about Nezuko even being alive. Then Tanjiro has to start his training, and it's not like a training montage. You kind of see why it's tough and what he goes through to overcome it. So one thing I think we see a lot in shonen is that the protagonist somehow gets stronger just for the sake of needing to be stronger. In this case, that is what happens, but he trains for it. You never wonder, or at least I never did, while I was watching Demon Slayer, I never wondered why Tanjiro was strong. It just always made sense. He had this determination, and he had a will to protect his sister. So he did whatever he could to protect her. And he physically trained for it. So that's one thing I love in a good shonen anime, is when you can see the work the protagonist is putting in so they can achieve their goals. It's one thing for them to get like a new transformation. Don't get me wrong, I love transformations. Who doesn't love a good transformation? But if they don't train for that transformation, or if they just kind of get it out of needing it, then that's where it kind of gets a little stale. I would say Demon Slayer is not like that at all. He eventually gets rivals that really push him more. So when he thinks he's at a good point, he learns some new skill that will help him progress his skills even further. And I think that's a really interesting thing to do. Obviously, that's common for shonen as well. But I think Demon Slayer does a great job of progressing the characters. So this anime I would really recommend. I just want to say that I think it was overhyped, because everybody's been on and on about this, and everybody has been like, oh, Nezuko's the ultimate waifu. Which I don't... She's a cute character, don't get me wrong. But I don't know about ultimate waifu tiering. Anyway, I think the show was overhyped for sure. But I do think that this show is good. I think it's worth a watch. And you don't have to watch 600 episodes to know what's going on. You can jump into this and watch it for a week and know the story, know what's going on. You could probably even rewatch it in a week if you had the time. So I would really recommend this show. I had a lot of fun watching it. And I didn't realize how quickly I was watching it. I would already be on like episode 7 when I thought I just started it an hour ago or something like that. That being said, I also really like the art style of this show. It gives you kind of like a modern Inuyasha feel, which Inuyasha is a demon slayer himself. Am I right? But I do really like the art style. I can't really describe it specifically, but if you've seen like the graphic going around for the movie, or if you watch the first episode, you kind of get what I mean. It's kind of like got that dark feel to it, but not crazy dark. It's still got a lot of good color to it. I don't like anime that kind of has all really bleak and darkness to it. Even though there's a lot of that, there's great colors, there's great art, and I really enjoyed watching it. Like, it was aesthetically pleasing to watch, and I think it was done really good. So, with that being said, if you do go out there and watch Demon Slayer, consider watching Demon Slayer, I highly recommend watching it, because it is a great show. It's short. You get to meet Nezuko, who is also a baddie, by the way. She can't be in the sun, kind of like a vampire, because it'll deteriorate her skin or something. But she's amazing. So she comes out at night, and she's always helping. She has like a bamboo thing that she keeps in her mouth so that she doesn't attack people. And sometimes she like instinctively growls, which sets her presence off to other demon slayers that might not know about her. So, but whenever they need help and she's able to help, because of the sun and all that, she comes out and she kicks butt. Dude, she is phenomenal. I think she even has some training parts. I don't want to say she has a training arc, but I think she has some moments where she's training and kind of getting a feel for her abilities as a demon as well, which is something that's awesome to see. We don't want the whole thing to be focused primarily on Tanjiro. We want to know what's going on with Nezuko as well. And I think overall it's a great series, and most of these characters interact really well together. I think Tanjiro being introduced to all the different layers of demons and demon slayers, he's a great character for it, because he has this sense of humility and humanity to him, where he kind of wants to give everybody a chance, and he's hesitant to kill, but he does what he has to do, and he doesn't hesitate. He hesitates, but not in the way that other anime characters hesitate when it comes to killing somebody. He does a great job throughout it, and overall, I'm excited to see season 2 of this, which I haven't watched yet. I've just watched season 1. So let me know your thoughts on Demon Slayer down below in the comments, and join me next week when we talk about another anime. If you have any suggestions on anime you'd like me to talk about, let me know that down in the comments as well, and I will see you guys out in the next video.